Welcome to another episode of the Microprocessor course. In this episode, I will teach you the hold and HLDA timing response as well as the request and grant timing response. These are two important timing responses are essential for any microprocessor, particularly for giving the system bus to other processors or peripheral devices. Let them have a look at this clock signal comprised of a sequence of pulses, hold and HLDA. Why we are using hold and HLDA? Let them have a look. We have a direct memory access is one of the technique we are using. In the next coming classes we will see elaborately what is DME and all that. But for the sake of understanding, just remind you in the mind, this is 8086 and this is a peripheral devices like memory device and this is a IO device. In general, what happened? The memory is asking for help and to execute the instructions or something else. Memory devices to 8086 information will going on. After acknowledging this instruction, this will internet gives a signal memory or IO devices. But in general, what happened? The number of IO devices and memory devices always keeps on executing the instructions. So it gives a overburden to the 8086. In order to reduce that burden, people introduced a direct memory access. Direct memory access means that without involvement of the 8086, the information will be passed from the memory to IO devices or IO devices to memory devices directly, so that it will not feel overburden. But for that purpose, we have to 8086 has to give the system bus to the memory and IO devices. So now memory and IO devices are acts as a master and it acts as a slave. For that cause, what happened? Suppose memory devices are asking for a system bus to transfer the data from memory to IO devices. Memory device sends an hold signal. In turn, 8086 after acknowledging that, it gives an acknowledgement HLDA signal. Whenever the hold signal rises during the clock pulse, particularly rising edge, so the clock always, this hold signal always samples at the rising edge of the clock. So whenever the hold signal rises, that means that peripheral device is asking for help to ask for a system bus. So in turn it generates a acknowledgement signal after a while. So whenever it happens, this 8086 requesting the master. So the system bus will be given to the another processor or another system bus will be given to the other peripheral devices. So those devices acts as a master. Whenever the HOLD signal is 0, it keeps on going on. In case if HLDA signal is again high, then it regains the 8086 system bus, then it will act as before. Until unless it not providing the high pulse, the system bus will be within the hands of the peripheral devices. So in that regard, A16, A19 and BHS7 memory M by O bar, RD bar, WR bar, all the things will be accordingly will functioning. So this is the hold and HLDA. Coming to this request and grant signals. This hold and HLDA signals are generally used for a minimum mode configuration, means that within the 8086 and the peripheral devices we are using. But request and grant signals are specifically designed for a maximum mode. That means that one processor is connected to another processor. So another 8086 processor 1 and another 8086 processor 2, like that maybe it is a server and remaining processors are clients, something like that. So more than one processor will be connected, that is called maximum mode operation multiprocessor system. During that multiprocessor system we need request 0 and grant 0 as well as request 1, grant 1. These are the two pins are provided in maximum mode. As usual, the clock is provided here. The request grant usually sampled at the rising edge of the pulse. So during the rising edge, request and grant is sampled. That means that 8086 detects the pulse of the request from the other processor or from the other peripheral devices. Then 8086 in turn it generates a grant pulse. Whenever the other processor works is completed, then again it regains the system bus. So after granting pulse, the system bus will be handed over to the other peripheral devices or other masters. After completion of the thing only, this system bus will be handed out to the original microprocessor or original processor. So here you have to understand one point. Let us take in 8086, these are the two other processors. This processor asking for a request to take the system bus. So whenever this request 0 grant 0 pulse provided to the 8086, internet generates a grant pulse. So whenever it request comes to the 8086, internet generates a grant pulse. So the system bus will be handed out to this processor. Like that, if this 8086 asking for a request to hand out the system bus, internet generates a grant pulse. Of course, the system bus will be handed out to the other processor. In some typical cases, what happened, these two processors asking at the same time to take the system bus from this 8086 processor. In that case, request 0 grant 0 is the highest priority, request 1 grant 1 is the lowest priority. According to the priority, the system bus will be handed over. And another 3 important points we have to note down. So for that case, if at the same time two processors asking for a system bus, during that period, according to the priority, request and grant will be selected. At the same time, lock prefix is being used is effectively. When the lock prefix is used, it means that this was locked. So once it's locked, then other processors information will not be taken into the consideration. That is a lock instruction. Lock instruction is only used in a maximum mode configuration. The previous bus transfer was not in the low byte or odd address. Then to give the request and grant pulses, previous bus cycle will not be in the lower byte or odd address. In 8086, once it's completed the previous bus cycle, then only the grant pulse will be coming into the picture. At the same time, interrupt acknowledgement is also not to come at the previous bus cycle. The first point is for lower byte of the word or odd address will not be in the previous bus cycle, as well as the interrupt acknowledgement will not be coming into the previous bus cycle. Third point is that instruction with the lock prefix is not being used. So in any case, if 1 and 2 happened, then grant pulse will not be given. If lock prefix is not, once the instruction is lock used, until it completes the lock instruction, next grant will not be given. So this is the request and the grant signals. If you like this video, please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon so that you will get notifications whenever we upload a new video. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. See you again. Bye bye.